How did I go from having the best meal to having a monster-in-law? Me and my fiancé are expecting our first child any day now, but let me go back to before I got pregnant. Where we are living we couldn't have our dog, so he was staying with my fiancé's parents. He has a lot of allergies, so we had simple rules like no human food, only certain kinds of treats, and my Mill would always just do whatever with him. He went from knowing not to go into the kitchen when people are cooking to standing right by your side waiting for things to drop. We would say not to do something and it was in one ear and out the other. My Mill and I were really close. We always texted and always did things together, to the point my own mom got jealous of it, but she always made me feel welcome and loved. Even when me and him broke up for a little, we still would talk and hanging out, but then I got pregnant. Seeing as she talked about it all the time, we figured she would be really happy about it, and at first she seemed to be, but in my first trimester I was really sick. In fact, I was so sick I lost almost 10 pounds that first trimester, so with that I didn't want to go out and do much. I was barely even working because of how sick I was, and that's when all the problems started. Multiple of her family members and friends would come to me and tell me how she would constantly talk shit about me and my fiancé, about how I would use my pregnancy as an excuse to be lazy, or I'm not even sick, I just didn't want to come, etc. And she would say how my fiancé needs to save more and not be spending money since we have a kid on the way. The money spent was for the nursery because we had to completely redo the room, floors, doors, seals, and lights. All had to be replaced, and on top of that he made it look really cool with unique designs. At the gender reveal it was a nightmare. She insisted of planning and decorating and cooking. On the day of, I was getting ready with my best friend when she came in and said I was taking too long and I needed to come set everything up. The only thing I was supposed to do was the balloon arch, which was done the night before, but all of the sudden I was doing all the decorating. You could tell it was all thrown together last minute and everything we talked about wasn't there. She forgot to bring tables, chairs, the salads were not done, so I sent my best friend in to start making them, which turned into an argument. Then we had an argument about where the tent would be. Eventually it got out where I wanted it, in the grass instead of the mud like she insisted. When we found out our baby's gender, she completely cut me off from going to celebrate with my fiancé that we were having a little boy. The next thing I knew, his family was surrounding him and I was just in the back of them. To say my feelings were crunched wouldn't even describe what I was feeling, but he never addressed it with his mom. I was so stressed out that day I slept for 17 hours after only waking up to pee because of the shit show the gender reveal was. I decided she definitely wasn't going to plan the baby shower, and that caused her to ignore my existence for weeks. Family dinners here horrible. Early in our pregnancy we decided on some rules for after baby gets here. When I go into labor no one would know because we didn't want to have our phones blown up asking if the baby is here. If you are sent a picture of the baby after he's here, don't post it unless we do first. You didn't make the baby, don't kiss the baby. Do not show up to our house unannounced, you won't be let in. When you come meet him don't stay all day, make your visit short. If you are sick stay away. 7 No small kids for a while. 8 We want 2 weeks of just us, our dog and the baby, for us all to adjust. If I can smell the perfume or tobacco on you, you won't be touching the baby. These rules have been said to Mill multiple times throughout my pregnancy, and every time it ended the same way, me being ignored and treated like I didn't exist. Seeing as the babies do any day, we decided to post them on Facebook for all of our friends and family to know, and when I say his side of the family flipped, that's an understatement. They are acting like they will never get to meet the baby. It even resulted in Mill texting fiancé saying we are taking her grandbaby away from her because she kisses babies and she smokes, and she even kicked our dog out. We were planning on taking him a few days after this happened anyways, so when they were on vacation I went, packed all his stuff and brought him home. Days later fiancé gets a text from Mill at 9:45 p.m. Not a hi, how are you or anything, just the demand. My fiancé said no, it's too late, maybe another night, but we have been back to the house since and our dog hates it. He's ready to leave before he even makes it in the door, and he never leave our side when we are there. I just don't understand how I went from being the daughter she never had to being treating like trash. It has made my pregnancy so much worse than it already was and is ruining her relationship with her son. I honestly don't know what to do anymore. Thanks for the rant, sorry if anything is misspelled. I've been crying all day, my eyes are swollen. Comnet. Because now you're in charge of something she thought she would have free access to. She's no longer calling the shots. Because like doing whatever with the dog, she thought she could do whatever and get away with it in every aspect in your life. You have simple and normal boundaries which most people would understand and adjust to support you, and she flips because she can't handle these boundaries. If you consider her behavior with the dog, then you can multiply it a dozen times when baby arrives. Keep your boundaries and consequences stern. Don't give her an inch, cause she'll go for a mile. Best of luck. Have a super similar situation. Make sure you stand your ground with your rules. I didn't when my baby was a newborn and it blew up in my face, and we are still dealing with now 15 months later. It's so hard when you have a newborn and a lot going on, so try and have some other people help you enforce them. Honestly, I would set time where your MIL can't visit or contact you after birth so you have time to bond with baby free from all that extra stress. Good luck with all of it. I feel for you. I could have written parts of your post myself. Next story 2. Mill thinks I'm Wonder Woman, and worst of all, she is way too interested in our finances. How do I get her to back off without being too mean about it? Help. So, my Mill comes to visit twice a year, and every time she does, it turns into a nightmare. The first time she came around, things weren't so bad, but now it's like she always has something to say. I work part-time and go to school full-time, and my husband works full-time. She always makes comments such as, "My poor son works very long hours, my son is gone all day and I'm sure he still comes home to cook and clean the house. Son, I'm sure you're very tired after work and you still come home to cook dinner. She's home all day, I bet you still come home and do what she should have done. Oh no, son. This is not right. You should never have to come home and tend to her or the children." I've tried so hard not to be rude about it, and he's even corrected her a few times, but she still keeps going on and on about her baby boy. She only comes around on the weekends. Therefore, she sees nothing that happens in our home. Yes, I cook for him and the kids, and no, sometimes it's not ready when he gets home, and yes, sometimes he comes home to help cook dinner or clean up and helps with our children. So what? Just a few days ago I was doing the dishes and I heard her say something, and I politely turned around and said to my husband, "So, do you say these things to her?" They both looked at me and she responded with, "No, I just figured he does because you're gone a lot." My hubby responded with, "No, and I've talked to her about this already." Then everything went silent. She says I'm gone a lot because whenever she's around, I find a way to get out of the house. Anyway, she gives me anxiety and I don't know how to make her stop. I don't know why she doesn't understand that we're in the year 2023 and things are not the same as they were when she was younger and living in a different country. Another thing that she does is talk about how her son takes care of most of our finances. Again, he works full-time and makes pretty good money and doesn't really ask me for anything because he understands that I only work part-time and this will change after I earn my degree, but for now this is how it is in our home. Just last week we went to the store to buy some dog food, toilet paper, water, and a couple of other things we needed, and when it was time to pay she had the nerve to ask me who was paying. I said, "Excuse me, I don't think I heard you right." She repeated herself and I said, "He is, why?" And she had the audacity to say, "Because I've seen him pay for lots of things and you only pay a few things here and there." Mind you, the cashier is just looking at me like WTF, and I was so mad I'm sure everyone could tell how mad it made me. She always says things about it not being fair that he uses his money more than I use mine. I don't know what to do anymore because no matter what, she won't stop. Like I said before, my husband does put her in her place sometimes, but it's getting to the point where I don't want her around. Like at all. There's so much more that she does, but I'll save thirst for a docent post. Comment. His visits with her should no longer take place at your house but at hers with him alone. She is intolerable. Your husband needs to make it very clear to her that your family finances and how the family's home functions are none of her business. You and he have a/shared relationship and each contribute and help each other, Gender roles are a thing of the past. She also needs to be told if her comments continue, she will no longer be invited to your home. How your home runs is none of her business. He can see her at her home or a public place. Your home is your safe place. No one needs or wants an outsider's opinion, nor to be anxious or upset when someone is coming over. I think she has already had her last chance, because DH did talk to her already. That awkward silence in the kitchen was your husband's cue to jump in and handle her, and he didn't. That's what has to be fixed first. Mill's horrible talk would annoy you much less if you knew DH would handle it properly. Let him read this thread. DH, your home is supposed to be your safe place, your sanctuary. It should be filled with people who love and support you. When will you make this home safe for your wife? Talking to her clearly did not work. It's time for you to step up and protect your wife and kids. She is treating your wife terribly in front of your kids. And they don't see you doing anything about it? You're writing the rules in their brains about how to respond to bullies, about how you treat a wife. Next time she runs her mouth, turn to her and say as snarky as possible, how do you not understand that we are married? It's not his money, it's our money. This is our home and our children, and as a married couple we split everything. The next time you want to imply I'm somehow taking advantage of my husband will be the last time you step foot in our home or see me. How we manage our life together is none of your business, and I'm done allowing you to constantly imply I'm not doing my part. Mind your business. Then stare her dead in the eye until she acknowledges it or looks away. Make sure you warn your husband ahead of time that you plan to put her in her place. Why are you worried about being nice when she clearly isn't? It's time for consequences. Put her in her place and then give her a timeout.